a minute or so before getting going. We're just going to be recording the presentation part of it, and then we'll stop the recording for the Q&A session. The chat is enabled, but the questions will come only directly to myself and Shahla, and we'll ask you to try to refrain or just keep your questions mostly to the end, and then we'll have a specific Q&A at that point. So we'll give it a couple extra, maybe another minute or so before we get going. So we'll get going shortly. Okay. Looks like most people have been in. There hasn't been any new, so we'll get going. Just a reminder for those who may not have heard it. So the session's being recorded. We're only going to be recording the presentation section. We'll stop the recording at the Q&A session, and then we'll open that the Q&A session for everybody. And then either you can be able to do it via the chat or asking us a question live. So we'll do that for the last little bit. Okay. So welcome to Kinesiology and Physical Education, our graduate program info session today. Before I get going, I want to spend a bit of time to acknowledge that I personally spend time with my family, my friends. I enjoy leisure activities, and especially in the context of university, I engage in rich dialogue with my colleagues, with the community partners that I research with, and with students on the unceded lands of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations. And take a moment to thank the caretakers of these lands. And if you're outside of these lands, also taking a moment to thank the caretakers of the lands to which you're situated on. So my name is Shane Sweet. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Kinesiology and Physical Education. I'm also the graduate program coordinator. And presenting with me today is Ms. Shahla Morsali, who will present herself now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the session. My name is Shahla Morsali, and I'm the graduate program coordinator at the Department of KPE, and it is a pleasure to see you today.
Excellent. So welcome to our department. Our department historically is pretty old. It's been serving the community since 1912. As originally it was a physical education department, and it's been about 20 years now that we're our Department of Kinesiology and Physical Education. We are situated within the Faculty of Education at McGill University. So from the historical perspective, when their department was initially launched in 1912 was really to train physical educators, and as you can see over time, it became a department. And then we started looking at moving towards sports science in the 60s. The ice hockey research is something that's pretty big in our department. There's an ice hockey research lab, and in 2002 is when we became the Department of Kinesiology and Physical Education. And in 2018 is when our PhD officially started. So that's when we launched our PhD. And as of 2023, 2024, and there's a new building being built focused on high performance sport research. So that's something that's incoming, and hopefully the building will be ready potentially by next August. So something exciting in the near future within our department. With regards to our graduate program, so we have our PhD, which is PhD in Kinesiology Sciences. And in Masters, we have two Masters. We have Masters of Science and a Masters of Arts. Essentially, whether you're doing a PhD or a Master's, we have specific areas of specialization. We have exercise physiology, biomechanics, and neuroscience, and those are more tied to the Master of Science Masters, but it's all the same umbrella from the PhD perspective. And then we have sport and exercise psychology, adapted physical activity, physical and health education, sports sociology, and cultural studies. And this part of the specialization is part of the Masters of Arts element. And also, all of these specializations I mentioned are part of the larger PhD programming. Within these specific areas of specialization, so we have profs in each of these domains. We have a number of profs in exercise physiology that work with from athletes to special populations that work with in the clinic and as well in the community. Similarly, with our biomechanics and neuroscience, we have professors here working again from the biomechanics of sport engagement, such as the ice hockey lab, to also sort of genetic elements and neuroscience with regards to specific populations. A lot of multidisciplinary nature in part of this branch. And then in our psychology, so exercise health and sports psychology, we have professors who are doing a mix of pure sports psychology, a mix of sport and exercise and health psychology, and as well as more exercise psychology focused and adapted physical activity, for instance. And then with regards to our physical and health education, our sports sociology and cultural studies, we have these professors who do a range again in this from working within schools, within the indigenous communities, within communities working with adapted physical activity as well. So as you can see, the department is quite multidisciplinary from physiology to sports sociology. So there's a wide breadth of there, and those are always very interesting dialogues that we get into. With regards to the specific of our programs, and some of you might be more interested in this dimensions of it. So both our master's program, Masters of Arts and Masters of Science, are 45 credit programs. From these 45 credit programs, 24 of those credits are what they're thesis research related credits. So essentially, these are 24 credits that are dedicated for you to do your research, for you to be able to engage and spend time in engaging in your research with your laboratory, with your supervisor. We have weekly seminars. So for the course of the 2 years, there's 6 credits to seminars. There's 6 credits with regards to required classes, so research methods and statistics. And then there's 9 complementary credits. So from a list of specific courses or individual experimental problem courses are ones that you create with your supervisor. So this is the format for the master's program, and if you go on our website, you'll see kind of the breakdown of these per different program. So this is kind of the formal template that you'll see with regards to different course options for the Master of Science. For the Master of Arts, it's very similar. So since as I mentioned, 45 credits, 24 credits of those are thesis, 6 credits are seminar, 6 credits are required. Here it's research methods, and then either stats or qualitative methods, depending on the type of research that you're doing. And then similarly, there's 9 complementary credits from a list of other courses. So, and then you'll see again the same kind of format with regards to our Master of Arts program and the different courses that are being offered. With regards to our PhD program, PhD programs are technically 0 credit programs, so it's not the same format as we're used to in undergrad and masters. However, within our PhD program, we still have the seminar, our graduate seminar. So those are six credits from engaging in those. We have one required class, which is a class specifically for individuals in the PhD program. And then we ask individuals to complete 6 complementary credits, so equivalent to 2 classes, and those can be within or outside the department, whatever fits the best for as a PhD student for you to be able to do your work that's required. So the PhD program, these courses are often, especially the complementary, are selected with your supervisor per se. It's not as set as other programs, as our master's program per se. So that's the overview of sort of a credit perspective with regards to our different programs. So just as a quick reminder, our master's programs of arts and of science are 45 credits with some credits dedicated to research, required class, and complementary classes and seminar. The PhD program, it has one required class and with 6 complementary credits and the seminar. So you can see a bit of the variety across the different elements. I mentioned and I presented to you earlier in terms of some of our professors who have a lot of variety and multidisciplinary nature. So if you are from kinesiology background, whether McGill University, you're used to this. So our facilities essentially cover the same range. We'll have specific facilities targeting physiology, biomechanics, neuroscience, exercise intervention spaces. So you'll neuroscience. So you'll see here a few of the snapshots with regards to a variety of different um, facilities that are within our department and each individual professor's lab as well. So depending on where you're coming in, if you want to come in from a more physiology perspective, then we have, the professors have the lab space for that. If you're doing more intervention studies, then we also have elements from that perspective too. So a lot of different variety in equipment in our department due to that multidisciplinary nature of our department. One thing as well that has grown and has been a huge addition to our graduate student experiences is our student association, our graduate student association. So KPEG, so Kinesiology and Physical Education, Graduate Students Association. They have really did an excellent job in the last 3 to 4 years to really bring a nice beat to our graduate student life, essentially. They are really strong voice within our department. They engage in department meetings. They engage with me as the program director in getting feedback. They lead academic initiatives. For instance, they're the one who leads Minds in Motion. It's a research day that is student-led for students. That happens every year mid-March. They also have writing blocks that they have so students can get together and write together to try to advance in their research, and they hold a number of social events. So I think this is something that is a really nice feature and a very that brings the culture of a department together is really the heartbeat of this student association. And I think one of the things that they've led the last few years is at the start of every fall semester, we have a barbecue or pizza party where the whole department and students get together, and we have a full sort of half a day together where we interact and enjoy spending time together as a graduate department. So I think that's extremely fun and exciting, and it's definitely one of the highlights of my academic year as well as graduate program director. So a few people might ask, what do you do after you graduate from a kinesiology or physical education? And this depends on whether you're doing, PhD or master's, but, many of our PhD students will go on and do postdoctoral fellowships. We have PhD students who've then gone on to do academic appointments. Some go into government, whether it's provincial, federal government to do research. Some go into community. Some have specific roles in research and development within community organizations. And then there's also a number of industry jobs. We have many of our graduates that go into hockey biomechanics, pharmaceuticals, ergonomics, health coaching, working with a number of either private or insurance-based health coaching as well. So there are a number of different pathways after graduation from a graduate degree within our department. So I'll spend the next little bit of time just to go over. So I'll start and I'll pass the word to Shahla after the next slide, but we'll talk a little bit about McGill. So we talked a lot about sort of the department, our core programming, some of the initiatives that our student association also leads. But what does McGill has to offer and what does Montreal has to offer? So if you're not from Montreal, I think it's also important to get to know and see what the city brings because Montreal is a special place. I think one of the McGill has done an excellent job at is creating resources and providing support for graduate students. Here I put in a few of the examples of key support systems. So you'll often hear about GPS. So in the sort of top left, graduate and postdoctoral studies, that is sort of the big body that governs all graduate studies within McGill. Within them, within GPS, there's a number of hosts of very, very interesting services that are there to support students. Some of them include skill set, which is a um, specific workshops that are really aimed to develop sort of professional development and opportunities. And then we have broader services like student services. And then we also have elements in where there are different groups and associations that get together for specific populations, specific groups, including First People's House, the Black Students and Network. And one of the newer initiatives, newer probably in the last 5 years or so, is McGill's Student Wellness Hub. So essentially, a core place where people can get both physical and mental well-being support for students, which is a very nice hub where students can have access to support throughout their entire graduate degree here. So I'll pass it on to Shahla in terms of next steps to talk a little bit more about Montreal.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shane, and hello again, everyone. As I said, my name is Shahla. Just for the people who recently joined the meeting, I'm the graduate program coordinator, and I help graduate students with their inquiries before they join KPE, after they join KPE, and after they graduate. So I start with a bit of Montreal in case you are not from Montreal or you are an international applicant. Montreal is the third biggest city in Canada. It is one of the safest cities in the world, and it has a lot of things to offer. I can tell you, if you are not from here, you will never run out of options on how to spend the weekend or how to spend your evening. Lots of museums, lots of parks, and it has vibrant cafes and restaurants. No matter which country you are coming from, you will find the cuisine of that country in one of Montreal's cafes or restaurants. There's also Montreal is somehow, actually, say people say that it is very cold, but this cold weather never prevents people from being active. So you will always find that people are on the streets, no matter minus 40 degrees. I have been out, and I just saw that, wow, oh my God, everybody is out. And minus 40 degrees never prevented them from coming out and enjoying the weather. They enjoy winter sports such as ice skating, which are a lot, and also skiing and many other winter sports that they have learned how to enjoy a very good winter time together with their friends and family. Also, as a student, you will have access to lots of reduced fares and reduced tickets for lots of events. There are also festivals, and I can tell you that Montreal is the paradise of festivals. If you are interested in these kinds of events, it never runs off festivals. So you will just need to just make the effort to choose which one you want to attend. So another thing that I, let's say, can tell you about Montreal is the rather low cost of living. So if we have some prices here, and this is the average price that people pay for the one-bedroom apartment, but I can tell you that I have seen students who have found apartments for less than this price. This is the average, and I have seen people living in one-bedroom apartments for $1,200 or even $1,300 per month. So this is rather on the high end of the price rather than the low end. So you can, let's say, definitely find a good place and a studio or a one-bedroom apartment at a very affordable price for students. It is rather cheap compared with other cities such as Vancouver and Toronto. They are quite high, and it's a very big challenge to find a place to live in those cities. Yeah, so there are numerous reasons that why you want to, any person can actually, let's say, maybe willing to study in Montreal and study in McGill, of course. It's a multicultural city, and it is a bilingual city, basically. And although McGill is an English-speaking university, you will hear many people speaking French and English at the same time. And if in case you know French, that's perfect. In case you don't, the government of Quebec offers free French courses that you can use this education, these MA or PhD courses, and learn another language absolutely free of charge. And sometimes they even pay people to learn French while they are here. And no matter which season it is cold, winter or hot summer, there are always activities that you can enjoy depending on your preferences. It's like, as I told you, you never run out of choices. It is just a matter of actually choosing which one you want to do. In summer, basically, Montrealers prefer to stay out, have barbecue events with their family and friends, do hiking and picnic and stuff like that. And in season, they prefer to, do ice skating and stuff like that. Montreal, as I told you earlier in my presentation, is that it's an amazingly safe and affordable place to live. So you can see people walking on the streets late at night without any issues. It is a special place if you want to have fun and at the same time enjoy the safety of the environment. Another advantage of Montreal, I can tell you, is the cheap public transport. It is the best in Canada. So there are a lot of them, and as a student, you will be able to benefit from reduced fare, which is just with $62 right now. You will have unlimited access to all public transport forms, buses, metros. There are also bikes available and many other eco-friendly travel options that you can benefit as a student. Another, the cultural and nightlife is amazing. In case you are interested in these cultural activities and nightlife, I can tell you that it is one of the best in the world. And Montreal always comes in the top 10 best cities in the world whenever whenever you look at that information. And the city has lots of innovations. It is a global leader in aerospace, tech, artificial intelligence, pharmaceutical, video game development, and lots of many other things. Montreal is also a historical place where North American culture and the European culture meet and coexist simultaneously. So while you will enjoy the vibe, atmosphere of a European city, at the same time, you will enjoy the advantages of a North American city. It's a perfect combination that you can hardly see in other parts of the world, I can say. So one of the questions that I receive a lot is how to apply. Well, the full complete guide on how to apply is available on our website on different programs. If you are applying for a master or for a master in science or for a PhD, the full guide is there. But in case you have more specific questions and you have questions that their answers are not available on our website, you can directly write to me. Later on, I will share with you my email address. There are a few steps that can facilitate your job as an applicant. Well, the first thing and the most important thing is that I always ask applicants to familiarize themselves with the website, to go over the program, to see what they are interested in, if they want an MA or if they want an MS, or if, let's say, a PhD admission. The first step would be to start with the website and explore it in depth and details and to see what the program has to offer and if it aligns with your interests. And the second thing is actually, I always recommend that having a supervisor who has accepted to supervise your studies is a very, very big step. It facilitates your application. It will facilitate your admission at the same time as well. After you check the website, the best part is go over our academic staff and let's say read about their research, what they are interested in, what kind of research they are doing, and see which one aligns more with your research interests. You can directly contact the supervisors, our academic staff, and ask if they would be willing to supervise your studies for the master or for the PhD. And once you have their approval, wow, good luck, you are almost there. So it is actually a very, very big mistake and big advantage to, let's say, have secured a supervisor before you even start your application. And once you are there, you are supposed to initiate your application officially, which is done on a Slate. It is the graduate admission portal. What is one of the things that generally applicants again actually complain about is that we couldn't find this, we couldn't find that. An important factor to consider is that most of the documents that you are able to upload are activated for you after you pay the application fee. But in case you pay the application fee and you still have problems, you can again reach out to me. Please take screenshots of the problems that you are experiencing with your application or if with the system itself. I will follow up with the Slate support team, and we will definitely do our best to solve your problems and follow up and make sure that you are experiencing a smooth application process. And since if you are applying for the next academic year, fall 2026, make sure that you select fall and autumn 2026. Select an application type. Okay, so you have to choose this one, and please do not click on the other options. This is the most important part. And this is the first mistake that applicants make that creates other problems. So if you just choose this one for the next year, for fall 2026, the rest of the steps will be very easy and straightforward. And there is also a YouTube video. So if you want, you can just go over that. It walks you through the Slate step by step, what you need to do, how to upload your documents, the type of the documents that you will need. I also recommend you, if you have time, to spend a few minutes and watch this tutorial before you submit your application. It will save you lots of time and energy at the same time. Another thing is about the referees, and your referees need to be professors and postdoctoral researchers or PhD students, basically people who are familiar with your academic background and your research background. So people who you have worked with as a colleague in professional settings, most of the time we say actually, unless they are familiar with you at an academic basis as well. Yeah. There's also a section on frequently asked questions. So which master's degree do I apply for? So these are the programs, as I told you, going over our website will definitely answer most of your questions. Another common question that we receive from many of the applicants, no matter master or PhD, is, do I need to have a degree specifically in kinesiology or physical education to be accepted? The answer is not necessarily, and we have students from multiple backgrounds. But the students who are not coming from a physical education background might be required to take up to 30 credits. So what determines how many credits you are going to take is maybe, let's say, the number of the courses that you have taken in the other programs. Are they directly or indirectly related? So at this point, there is no one definite answer that we can tell you how many credits, because it depends on what you have studied, what courses you have taken, what jobs you have done that directly or indirectly, let's say, contribute to your studies in the physical education department. It is done on one-to-one basis. So once you get admitted and we, let's say, look at your educational background, your research or professional background, and based on the, let's say, your supervisor's idea, we will just give you some extra credits to cover, not necessarily 30 credits. It can be fewer.
Okay, perfect.
Next. Yeah.
Yeah, I think then I'm taking over a little bit from here
Thank you.
on this front. So thanks, Shahla. And I think I'll add as well in terms of on this slide is, so if you're thinking about physiology, biomechanics, neuroscience, and you're looking at a master's degree, it's the MSc. If you're looking more at sport and exercise psychology, adaptive physical activity, sports sociology, then it's more the MA. So sometimes people they're not sure which one to select. So think about the area that you're in. And with regards to the specific amount of credits, it's relatively rare that people even do up to 30. What we typically see is maybe they take one class with 3 credits. Worst case is often 6 credits if they really don't have the specialty. We rarely see somebody coming in having to do 30 credits on that regard. And this is really in discussion with that supervisor, so you have the skills to do the research within that specialty. So with regards to around sort of funding, question we often get is around the tuition. So we encourage people to follow the link on looking at McGill student accounts page. that have the tuition fees, because your tuition fees depends on your degree, so PhD or master's. It depends also if you are Quebec resident, Canadian, or international. So there's a lot of factors here. So we also encourage people to go look at the calculator there to really get a sense of, if for your particular situation, what would that look like? Graduate students do receive some funding from our department through Graduate Excellence Fellowships, and that also differs at the master's level. It differs from whether you're Quebec, Canadian, International, and the same thing with regards to the PhD level. Level of funding is different if you're coming from Canadian or international elements. Here, the department funding is confirmed after an offer admission is made. And this funding is a mix of funding from the department and as well as supervisor matching funds. So these are all questions that you can have with potential supervisors as you're interacting with them, is understanding exactly what type of funding that they may offer within their own lab. But rest assured that you will receive, people who are admitted do then receive a funding letter at one point during the admission process. The other thing is that there are many external scholarships, and our students are highly encouraged to apply to these external scholarships. These include sort of the Tri-Council. So health research is the acronym is CIHR. If you're doing more social science research, it's SSHRC. If you're doing much more engineering type of research, then it's NSERC. And then there's the FIQ system, is the same system in the Quebec system. Also, part of the graduate student funding at McGill is that you can also have additional teaching or research assistant or also grader. The TA hours, so teaching assistant hours or grader hours, are not part of any funding package because of union rules. Students have to apply to them directly. So compared to other universities who may offer TA-ships or teaching assistantships as part of their funding, we're not allowed to do that within our context. So even you'll have your funding letter that you'll get, and then you'll also have to apply to TA-ships as well because of respecting sort of union rules. So those are additional supplemental income that you could receive as well. And as I mentioned, GPS has a number of resources. One is they have a whole graduate funding list of elements. So if you want to keep supplementing your funding opportunities, then there are other ones that are offered sort of beyond than simply our department or the typical external scholarships. A GPS also has, a graduate student and postdoctoral affairs also has specific recruitment awards for anti-Black racism and Indigenous Graduate Excellence Recruitment Fellowship. So these are come at the point where if you self-identify as such during the application process, then there's a process that is launched at the GPS at the university level or at the university level in combination with the department, in collaboration with the department for these specific awards. So these are things that are available. The links will be here, so you'll be able to look into them as well if this applies to you. There are a number of workshops that are held by GPS, so keep an eye out on those in terms of preparing your application, how to secure a supervisor, writing a personal statement. So these are happening at the department, sorry, at the university level. So keep an eye on those if that is of an interest to you. If you have specific questions with regards to our program, this is where you can reach Shahla at the studentaffairs.kpmcgill.ca. And then what we'll do now is we'll end this, we'll stop the recording, and then we'll allow for a little bit of a Q&A session. So a few options. I think I want to reiterate a couple points. One, we're answering broad specific questions.